Hello friends, welcome to day 6 of our season 9 Hearthstone Battlegrounds reveals. Today is Elemental and Undead, and if you've missed any of the other ones, oh man, alright, I guess I'm gonna read this. Neutral, Spell, Mech, Dragon, Naga, Quillbore, Beast, Pirate, Duos, Demons, Murlocs. Wow. You can check out the description to see links directly to those videos. So today's the day that we get the full picture of all of the minions in Season 9. Over the last week, we've been slowly finding out what's coming, and we finally get our last 2 minion types today. Our new season starts exactly a week from today on December 3rd with the preview event on December 2nd. So let's get ready for next week. Here we go. Let's start with Elemental. Our Elemental Leaving are starting with the Tier 2 Crackling Cyclone. This is our 5/1 Elemental with Divine Shield and Wind Fury. This was kind of a nice pickup on turn 3. Also nice for like Arana, where you had the Wind Fury pretty early. It has been in the game for a while though, so excited to see this get replaced with something new. Okay, wait. Speaking of been in the game for a while, on Tier 2 we have the Party Elemental that's leaving as well. This is the 3/2 Elemental. After you play an Elemental, give a friendly Elemental other than it +2/+1. Man. I still remember the good old days of party rocking, and now party's gone. So we are left with just rocking. For some reason, that does not sound as fun. We talked about this in our pirate video. On Tier 3, leaving is the Landlubber. This is an elemental pirate 4/5. The tavern offers an extra tavern spell after each refresh. This is great for Azerite comp, so good for Azerite comp. It was really good when Paint Smudger was a thing for Quillbore. Oh man, that was a time. We talked about this with Demon yesterday, but the Fiery and Slimy Fellblood are both leaving Tier 3. This is the Death Rattle and Battle Cry respectively of giving extra attack and extra health to minions in the tavern. Exiting Tier 4 is the Tavern Tempest. This is our 2/2 Elemental Battle Cry, get a random elemental. This was always kind of a pain point for me because it was nice for the tempo and like having an extra minion, but also all of those elementals that you scaled in the shop, and then you get one that's like a base statted elemental, and then all of a sudden it triples with stuff when your shop is like an extra +50/+50. That's happened and it feels kind of bad. Also leaving Tier 4 is the Recycling Wraith. Another pretty impactful one, especially for Millhouse. This is our 5/4 Elemental. After you play an elemental, your next refresh costs 1 less. Recycling Wraith was really important to like APM cycling comps. We'll see if there's something to replace it. Oh, we talked about Landlubber being a good companion to living Azerites, but also leaving on Tier 4, well I guess 3 now since the patch last week, is Living Azerite. This is our 6/6 Elemental. Whenever you cast a tavern spell, elementals in the game have +1/+1 this game. I did have a lot of fun scaling Elemental with Azerites. I'm hopeful that we are going to see some fun changes for elementals with all of these important minions being gone. Oh, another pretty important one. Out on Tier 5 is Flourishing Frostling. This is our 2/1 Elemental, but it's not actually a 2/1 because it has +2/+1 for each elemental you played this game, wherever this is. Flourishing Frostling is like a consistently good minion to have in an elemental board, and it's great to counter the transmuted Bramble Witch, but as we learned, and as we are about to talk about on Tier 5, exiting the game is the Transmuted Bramble Witch, the Elemental Quillbore. When this attacks, set the defender's stats to 3/3. I'm sad to see both of these go. Oh, okay, thank goodness. Here's one that I'm kind of indifferent about leaving. That's so mean. On Tier 5 is Moss of the Schloss. This is our 3/4 Elemental. When another friendly elemental dies, gain its maximum stats once per combat. For some reason, I just never loved this minion. That's fine, it can go. Ooh, also leaving Tier 5 is a minion that has come back kind of recently, but it has been consistently a very good minion in general. This is the Carbonic Copy. This is our 6/7 Elemental. Start of combat, summon a copy of this minion with the golden version summoning 2. It was really helpful when you were running spells that needed an open board space, like the little venomous spell where it summons a little venom guy and it attacks at the start of combat and you need a board space open to do it. Carbonic Copy is a fantastic helper for that because you need a board space for that too, but the spell happens first and then the minion summons. Really great. Well, not really great anymore because it's gone. Oh wow, okay, and our last minion leaving is another pretty important method of scaling for Elemental. On Tier 6, this is the Rock. 5/5 Elemental. After you play an Elemental, give your minions +2 attack and it swaps to health next turn. That was like a whole comp. That was definitely something to play, but it doesn't feel as good in terms of scaling compared to other minion types in right now? Well, it appears that we are about to see a very, very large shift with elementals. Before we head into our new minions, let's first talk about our one changing minion. Our refreshing anomaly that was on tier 1 is now moving on up to tier 3. It is a 3/4 now with a battle cry of gain 2 refreshes that cost 0. It always felt kind of funny when you needed to triple this. Well, why would I triple this? Because I'm going to lose the free roll, and is it really worth freezing for this? And doesn't make a lot of sense. I like this a lot better. This functions like the Death Rattle elemental in duos, with the Death Rattle that gives you, like, it adds free rolls for you and your partner. This works the same way, and I think this is great. Also, I was talking about recycling Wraith Leaving being bad for Millhouse, but refreshing anomaly is like a billion times better for Millhouse. All right, that was our one change. So that means we are moving on to what's new and what's returning. We have a new tier 1 minion called the Dune Dweller. This is a 3/2. When you sell this, elementals in the tavern have +1/+1 this game. Hold the phone. Wait, okay. And it's on tier 1. I want to play this minion all of the time. I love it so much. How does this exist? Okay, but like, what if you... No, that's silly. I really want to just meme and just try to stay on tier 1 and see if this is a thing that I can do. I shouldn't. I mean, I very likely will. This is now in my head and I am stubborn, so I'm gonna probably try this. Yeah, because if mech are in the game, Lullabot is on tier 1. Oh my gosh, I'm running away with this. No, my brain is going crazy right now. I think I need to make a video all about day 1 comps to try. Ooh, that's dumb. I like it. I'm getting carried away. Let's backtrack. Before I introduce these next 2 minions, I'm gonna jump up to tier 4 for our one new spell. It'll all make sense in a second. Our one new elemental spell on tier 4 for 4 gold is called Temperature Shift. You get a Fireballer and a Snowballer. Now that we know that this spell exists, let's introduce 2 of our new minions. On tier 2, we have the Fireballer. This is our 4/3 elemental. When you sell this, give your minions +1 attack. Improve your future ballers. Okay, put a pin in that. Also coming to tier 2 is the Snowballer. This is a 3/4 elemental. When you sell this, give your minions +1 health. Improve your future ballers. So both of these on the sell improve each other, right? Because it's not just improve your future fireballers, it's improve your future ballers. So selling a fireballer will then make a snowballer give +2 health. That's a really... because it like snowballs, stacks and gets better and better. Oh my gosh, is this the wordplay? If that's the wordplay, that is genius. Also, I really love these minions. Those are fun. Man, seeing everything leaving, I was feeling kind of like, ugh, but now I'm feeling like, okay, all right, elementals look great. As we continue to make the shops better and better with our Dune Dweller. Tier 3, we talked about this yesterday in our demon video. The Felemental is back, and I'm living my best life right now. Our Felementals are 3/1 elemental demon, battle cry, minions in the tavern have +1/+1 this game. So our Dune Dweller is buffing our elementals in the tavern, and then our fireballer and our snowballer are buffing our board, but also improving themselves, and Felemental is buffing all of the minions in the tavern. This is fantastic. Our new tier 3 minion is called Meteorite Crasher. This is a 2/4 elemental. After you sell an elemental, gain +2/+2. There's so much like synergy and support on the early tavern tiers. So you can just have like Meteorite Crasher and just go fireballer, snowballer, and then Meteorite Crasher is also like, yes, give me those stats, but also I'll make my own stats, but also give me those stats. Sick. Okay, we have another returning minion, and I would love to shout out Comic from Twitch here, because on tier 4, coming back is Nomi Kitchen Nightmare. Nomi is back and better than ever on tier 4. Well, I don't know about better than ever, but we're just happy Nomi is back, right? It's a 4/4 after you play an elemental. Elementals in the tavern have +1/+1 this game. We are very excited to see Nomi back, of course, and given all of the minions that we've seen on tier 3 and below, I feel like Nomi's got a pretty good chance here. And not only that, the power level of all of the other minion types, I think Nomi actually really legitimately does have a good chance here. Now we have a new minion on tier 4. This is the Windfall Tornado. The 4/4 elemental, when you sell this, discover an elemental and give it this minion's stats. That's pretty sick. That's actually legitimately a callback to what I was talking about with the Tavern Tempest, because I was like, you know, it sucks because this minion happens, but it's at a base stat, and all the shop is like plus 50, plus 50. If you find a Windfall Tornado in the shop, you play it, you sell it, and then you discover an elemental, and it gets the stats. It gets the stats from this buffed minion. Our last new tier 4 is Icaron the Protector. It's a 3/1 elemental, Divine Shield. After you play an elemental, give it Divine Shield until next turn. A quick note that the golden version does give permanent Divine Shield. It doesn't say until next turn on the golden version. This is really nice for like a little bit of mid-game protection on your minions. Elemental of Surprise still is in the game, so all of your elementals can technically have a permanent Divine Shield, but it would be nice to not have to find the Elemental of Surprise in order to give that shield. I'm kind of 50-50 on this. I like it, I think. We'll have to see it in play. Next, we have a returning but changed minion on tier 5. The Dancing Barnstormer is back. This is a 5/4 elemental. Battlecry and Death Rattle. Elementals in the tavern have +2/+2 this game. Oh, I really like this. We've seen with Sanguine Champion how impactful having a minion that has both Battlecry and Death Rattle can be. This is a very versatile minion that gives a lot of stats, and it is specifically elementals in the tavern. It's not all the minions in the tavern, but I find a Dancing Barnstormer, and I'm very, very likely going to keep a Dancing Barnstormer. I might be wrong on this, and it all depends on like what really the scaling looks like in the meta, but I loved this minion when it was on tier 2, and it did a little bit of help, and now it's on tier 5, and I think it's going to be really good. Our next new minion is a tier 5 Twilight Primordium. There's a 2/2 elemental with a Battlecry of give an elemental +2/+2, improved by each other minion you played this turn. So this is definitely one of those minions you're going to want to end your APM turn with, right? Because that can definitely stack for you. This is our last returning elemental. On tier 5 is the Gentle Genie. The 3/4 elemental with the taunt, Battlecry, and Death Rattle. Get a random elemental. Okay, Genie. This is another one that I'm really happy to see back. It is going to give you those base statted elementals, but hey, you cycle a bunch of those, then you Twilight Primordium, and then your minions are massive. It's great. All right, we have 2 new minions on tier 6. The first one is one we talked about yesterday. This is the Nether Construct. This is a 5/5 elemental demon. Choose one. Minions in the tavern have +5/+5 this game, or consume all minions in the tavern to gain their stats. Imagine using Staff of Hamul after having scaled elementals the entire game, have a whole shop of very massive elementals, and then playing another construct and consuming them all. I like the sound of that. On the other hand, imagine you didn't start scaling your elementals until much later, and using the minions in the tavern have +5/+5 this game sounds pretty relevant, because it also has minions, not just elementals, so could be helpful to also just close some gaps in general. I feel like often with dual type minions, there's like one type that it fits just a little bit better than the other one, or like you end up seeing it more with one or the other. I truly think the Nether Construct is like very versatile between elemental and demon. Quite excited about that one. Our last tier 6 is the Ultraviolet Ascendant. This is a 5/3 elemental. Start of combat, give your other minions +2/+1. Upgrades after you play an elemental. Oh man, I think one of my goals is to get the Ascendant to really give a whole lot of stats. I've already started thinking about another day 1 comp with this one. Definitely keep a lookout for that video because my brain is going. Man, the tangents are strong today. Let's move on. All right, here we go. We are moving on to our Undead minions, where it looks like Elemental got like a whole refresh. Undead definitely are seeing a change, but I don't think it's as impactful as what Elementals seem to be. That being said, a very brief glance I just did before I said that, so I might be eating my words very shortly. All right, leaving our Undead, we are starting with the tier 2 Eternal Knight. This is our 4/1 Undead, has +1/+1 for each friendly Eternal Knight that died this game, wherever this is. Eternal Knight has been around as long as Undead has been around in this game. Seeing Eternal Knight leave is massive. Like, sure, it's had times where it was relevant and times where it wasn't, but this is a big deal that it's leaving. I think I'm already eating my words. Also leaving on tier 2 is the Museum Mummy. This was a 5/1 Undead, Battlecry summon a 1/1 skeleton. I remember seeing this and thinking, wow, this is like Tidehunter and Alley Cat. Like, this is a big deal that we have a token summon from a minion. It's been a really long time since we've had that. And I was thinking it would be broken, and it definitely like has benefits. Definitely not broken like it was in the past with Khadgar and Alley Cat and Tidehunter and all of the nonsense that we used to do back then. Also leaving tier 2 we talked about this on Pirate Day, is the Corpse Refiner. This is our 2/3 Undead Pirate. Avenge 4. This minion sells for 1 more gold. I was so sad to see this one go. I said it in the Pirate video, I'll say it again. Leaving tier 3 is the Putrid Pupil. This is a 2/7 Undead. After you summon 5 minions in combat, get a random tavern spell. It definitely felt very irrelevant before it got buffed, and then it got buffed and it feels okay. I'm okay with it leaving though. It felt like kind of clunky at the back of the board when the back of the board usually was already pretty filled. Jumping right on up to tier 5, Morose Steward of Death is leaving. This is a 4/2 with the Reborn Death Rattle. Give your undead +2/+4. Like the other day, I ended up playing a Kel'Thuzad Morose build, and it was so nostalgic and weird and definitely could not hold up today, but Morose is fun, has been a little bit irrelevant in the last meta or two though. We saw Eternal Knight leaving, so pretty safe to say on tier 6 our Eternal Summoner is leaving as well. This is our 8/1 Undead, Reborn Death Rattle, summon 1 Eternal Knight. Yeah, those comps were really fun. I'm sad to see those go. Happy to make some space for something new though. And if I ever really want to play it, I can play the Samley and Scribe in duos. On tier 6, our last minion leaving is Arc Lich Kel'Thuzad. This is a 10/8 Undead. At the end of your turn, destroy the undead to the left of this and resummon an exact copy. Oh, I loved printing things with this minion. I loved giving something reborn and then printing more of them. It was so nice, and I'm sad that I can't do that anymore. That is so greedy, but like it was so good for that. That was definitely the best purpose for Kel'Thuzad. I should try to do that a little bit more before Kel'Thuzad goes. All right, we got 4 changes we're looking at for minions staying in the game. The first one is with Tier 1 Harmless Bonehead. 1/1 Undead. Death Rattle summon 2 1/1 skeletons. You're like, Sway, where's the change? It's the golden change. The golden version, instead of summoning 2 2/2s, now summons 4 1/1s. I'm sure some of you have played the Bonehead with the Catacomb Crasher, and when you golden it, you're like, this is not any better. Well, now it is. Our next minion changings are tier 3 Handless Forsaken. Our 2/1 Undead Death Rattle summon a 2/1 hand with Reborn. Very similar to the Bonehead here, the golden version is the impacted minion, and it now summons 2 2/1 hands with Reborn instead of 1 with increased stats. Following a very similar pattern here, moving down to tier 3, the Cadaver Caretaker. The 3/3 Undead with a little bit of a nerf here because it went from 4 to 3. Death Rattle summoned 3 1/1 skeletons. Another impacted gold here though, the golden version summons 6 1/1 skeletons instead of 3 2/2 skeletons. These changes are so fantastic for Catacomb Crasher and Thundering Abomination. We have one last change, and this is not aligned with the other 3 we've seen. This is just going down a tavern tier. Our Mummifier is moving down from tier 4 to tier 3, with still having a death rattle of give a different friendly undead reborn. All right, we are on to our new and returning, and we are actually starting with a returning minion. This is our tier 2 Scarlet Skull coming back. This is a 2/1 undead with reborn and a death rattle, give a friendly undead +1/+2. This is pretty nice in the early fights to kind of keep things alive. Not having Eternal Knights anymore, I am happy to see this back, at least in the early game. Oh, and this is a very happy day for me, actually. It's not a new minion, but a new minion. On tier 2 is the Corpse Recycler. Does this not remind you of something? This is a Corpse Recycler 2/3 Undead. Avenge 4. This minion sells for 1 more gold. It looks like Corpse Recycler just didn't want to be a pirate anymore. A pirate's life was not for the Corpse Recycler. Okay, so it's back at least. That's cute. I like that. I'm happy about it. We have a new minion on tier 4 called the Wandering Wight. This is a 6/5 undead. After you summon a minion in combat, give it health equal to its attack. This reminds me of the Trinket that does that. This does not feel super synergetic with what I call the Stuffed Crust build, but what everyone else calls like an overflow board, or you know, the Catacomb Crasher and the Abomination, when you summon minions that won't fit. For this minion specifically, if you're just playing like you have like a Nubarok and you use like the Nerubian Death Swarmer, you have the Champion of the Primus, you're giving a lot of attack to your undead. It's very valid. You don't need to continue to remove things and then summon things. You just need things to happen and stay. So that's valid for that comp for sure. We talked about this minion on the Dragon Day, our tier 5 Nightbane Ignited. This is a 7/6 undead dragon with a taunt, death rattle, give 2 random friendly minion this minion's attack. But we saw how much attack stacked with dragons. Undead is very easy to stack attack. Nightbane will be a very welcome addition to this build for sure. I say that as if it already hasn't been incredibly dominant in this game. It's gonna do great things. New on tier 5 is the Wisp in the Shell. This is a 4/4 undead battle cry. Give a friendly minion +2 health, improved by each friendly minion that died last combat. This feels very beneficial for the Stuffed Crust build, the Catacomb Crasher, the Thundering Abomination. And it's a friendly minion, so it doesn't need to be an undead while it itself is an undead. You know, your Rivendare to live a little bit longer. You need your Champion of the Primus, your Gulacabra, the fantastic minion to help them live a little bit longer. Oh, your Wandering Wight, this new minion, that too. Okay, we have one last new minion for undead. This is on tier 6. This is the Deathly Striker. This is 7/7 undead. Avenge 4, get a random undead. Death Rattle, summon it from your hand for this combat only. Avenge 4 actually feels very doable. And you just get a minion. That's pretty sick. And the Death Rattle summons it. So not only do you get a minion, but then you get to have it that turn. And then the next turn you can choose if you want to, play it, sell it, whatever you want to do with it. This is like the trinket right now. This is like Bleeding Heart, but so much better than Bleeding Heart. I feel like that's probably going to get nerfed. That has to get nerfed. Avenge 4? Well, if I'm not mistaken, that's everything. We have officially finished our last minion reveal. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this journey. Let me know what you think in the comments about our elemental and undead, and thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.